The first book of 2018, everyone. The Urban Farmer by Curtis Stone. What a fucking douche. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Justin M. Bailey here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin M. Bailey. Hello. And I'm a not-for-profit YouTuber that doesn't like to Facebook or Twitter. I don't think that stuff's healthy for you. And I hope that helps to explain my very low subscriber count. Only 130 at this time, but I'm very thankful to those last 5 subscribers I got since that Zelda 2 video. Thank you. Thank you to all my subscribers. And I like to cover a lot of different things on this channel. Video games, movies, anime, go Vampire Hunter D, and books. Lots and lots of books, but some very specific books this year. Books on gardening, books on prepping, books on brewing beer, and of course, urban farming. Because of my many, many ambitions, I want to turn this beautiful blank canvas, aka my backyard, into a very large garden, a greenhouse, and a building that works as both a mini brewery and a mini bakery. Who does not like fresh baked bread? And so to make this all happen, I'm tackling a bunch of specific books this year. And the first book I decided to tackle was The Urban Farmer by Curtis Stone. And I'm very glad I read this book. For one, this book was a very good kick in the pants of how incredibly difficult this is going to be. For example, my backyard floods whenever it rains, I have a ton of clay in my soil, and I do not get nearly as much direct sunlight as you might think. But also, this book has also helped to show me how very, very possible this all is. For those of you unfamiliar with him, Curtis Stone is actually quite the revolutionary, quite the pioneer of this whole urban farming movement that seems to be gaining momentum. He makes well over 100 grand a year off farming just a handful of backyards in his neighborhood up in Canada somewhere, and I love most of the stuff he preaches. I'm totally picking up what he's throwing down. I love and agree with how much of a fucking waste most of suburbia is. All our lawns and all our backyards, we put so much time and money and effort into it, and we get nothing back in return. It makes total, logical sense that if you're gonna put all that time, effort, and money into something, do you think I was happy about this big, beautiful backyard when I bought this house? Heck no. It makes sense to put it into something that gives you something back. A tomato plant or two. A couple of extra bucks in your pocket, or maybe even a whole new career. Urban farming, woohoo! So, I love what he preaches, but my problem with the book and Curtis Stone, I don't necessarily like how he goes about preaching it. No. I very much compare him to Ignacio Weiss, and if you haven't heard of him, don't feel bad. Ignacio Weiss was this Hungarian physician back in the 1800s who came up with an idea 1,000 times more revolutionary and 1,000 times more common sense than simply putting your urban backyard to good use. He came up with the idea, ready for this? That physicians should wash their hands before delivering a baby. Believe it or not, this is really hard for us to get in our antibacterial soak society, but for most of medical history, physicians are not in the habit of washing their hands, like ever, but especially when delivering a baby. And so you could literally have a doctor going from performing an autopsy directly to delivering a baby, and everybody was wondering across Europe and at Ignacio Weiss's hospital, why are all these mothers dying of complications, aka infection? Infection, what's that? After giving birth. Well, Ignacio Weiss was the first to figure out it's called wash your hands, you dummy. And maternity deaths dramatically dropped in his hospital, and he went all over Europe preaching this remarkable idea of just put the dial on them hands before you do anything, Mr. Doctor, but nobody wanted to listen to him at first. It actually took a while for this idea to catch on because Ignacio Weiss was such a self-important douchebag, nobody wanted to listen to him. And after reading just a little bit of this book, you can pretty much say the same thing about Curtis Stone. Here, seriously, let me read you just a couple of excerpts from the first page, the first preface of this book, and you decide. And yes, I'm going to totally read this in such a douchey voice, but just listen, okay? Curtis Stone. My entire life. It's already douchey. All right, sorry. My entire life, I wanted to be a rock and roll musician. Even from the time I was 16 years old. I was playing in bands with other young men in my town. And growing up as a bit of a rebel without a cause, I got into punk rock music at a pretty young age. And through that, I discovered thinkers such as Noam Chomsky, which led me to follow geopolitical issues with great interest and despair. Back in my punk rock days, I heard the old cliche, if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. And it's stuck with me ever since. It was around late 2007 when I really started to be personally bothered by a lot of what was happening in the Western world and abroad, endless wars, environmental degradation, and an economic system that benefited only a small number of elites. I sometimes went to bed very restless because of all the injustice I saw in the world, and probably the greatest injustice of his whole life was that he never became a rock and roll star. My God! Ah, man. So, I'm talking like Bono level of douche here. And it was so bad when I first started reading this book, I just wanted to throw it in the trash can. I was like, I'm not gonna listen to this frickin' douche for an entire book. But still, if you can just get through that first 25%, if you can just get through that first part where he talks about himself, Curtis Stone should never ever talk about himself, like, ever. If you can get through that, I still got a ton out of this book. And I cannot help but feel that if you are interested in urban farming or gardening or any of that in any way, he's definitely a guy you're going to want to learn from, because like I said at the very beginning, he really is quite the revolutionary of this movement. He's someone most certainly worth studying. And it's like, to be fair, I just want to be totally fair. I'm not like getting off taking a poop on this guy or something, not at all. And it's like, clearly he's not a douche 24/7. Because if he was, nobody would want to buy his vegetables for one. They'd be like, screw you, you douche. Take that zucchini and shove it right up your... And you know, it's like, Stone clearly has his urban farming skills backwards and forwards. Honestly, I also feel that he has his people skills backwards and forwards. And honestly, those lessons I got out of this book are the most valuable to me, because my people skills are horrendous right now. I would describe my people skills as a rusty chainsaw, if you know what I mean. If I was going to describe where my people skills are at right now in a couple of sentences, easily...
Don't touch my stuff!
I will f***ing murder you!
The clown has no penis.
So he told me a bunch of stuff I personally needed to hear, some things I just needed a reminder of. Good kick in the pants. Number one, smiling for one. There's a Dale Carnegie no-brainer, you know? You gotta smile when you're dealing with people, so... Okay. Number two, the importance of being open and vulnerable whenever dealing with people. Another no-brainer. The more open and vulnerable you act around people, the more they'll be in turn. Or I would compare it to when you're dealing with people, just take off all your armor, lower your guns, and just be open. And it's going to basically spark a level of comfort in people. It's going to make you 1,000 times more approachable for people. Another thing I got to work on. And finally, number three. This is the biggest thing I really got out of this book. I mean, it was a great Urban Farming 101 class, and I'm sure I'll be using this book for years. I will reference it, you know, for many, many things as I slowly work on that backyard. But it's like, no, this thing really hit me at home, because, and this is where Curtis Stone really shines most, I feel. Where, okay, like any good business person will tell you that you're not selling a product so much as yourself, yeah? Well, it feels to me Curtis Stone takes us a step further, and what he does, what's really magical, and what's really gotten so many people behind him is, it's not that you're selling yourself even, you're selling a story. You're selling your story, yeah, but in a way where other people feel like they're becoming part of your story. You're selling by people supporting you and buying your product. They feel that they are part of a movement. They feel that they're part of something more than themselves, because it's like, that really hits the nail on the head, because more than just about anything, we all want to feel like we're part of something, that we have purpose, you know? We're all looking for meaning and all that. And the fact that he can give that to people, and all he has to do is sell them some fucking zucchini from his backyard, well, that's remarkable. That's power right there. That is, you know, it's like, man, if you can instill that in people, if you can make them feel that they're part of a movement, they will move stuff, entire fucking mountains for you. They will. So it's just, that seems like that's the name of the game. So yeah, just really glad I read this book. And if any of you listening right now are urban farmers yourself, and you're familiar with Curtis Stone's work, I'd love to hear your 2 cents about it, definitely. Want to give me a couple of free tips? Yes, awesome. And that's really it, everyone. If anybody wants to subscribe to my channel, awesome, because like I said, I'm not for profit. I'm not here to sell anything that's not tangible. I would love to sell books one day, or beer, or bread, or veggies, you know, actual things you can touch, but shit like advertisements, no thank you. I don't like Facebook, and I don't like Twitter, and Jesus Christ, Patreon? What the fuck? It's like, oh my God. What's the difference between Patreon and, hey, mister, got a quarter? It's like, Jesus, it's like, keep your fucking money, man, you know? And the next book I eventually want to tackle sometime this year is The Fermented Man by Derek Dillinger, so that'll be coming down the pipeline eventually. I'm Justin M. Bailey. Thank you, bye.